The City Worm and the Country Worm by Linda Hayward, illustrated by Carol Nicklaus.
"Hey, Slimey," said Oscar, holding up a thimble filled with water. "You're on."
Oscar meant that it was time for Slimey, his pet worm, to practice his newest trick.
"I can't hardly wait to tell everyone about this," said Oscar. "I bet no one has ever seen a worm dive from a diving board into a thimble full of water."
Slimey climbed up the little ladder. He wriggled up to the end of the diving board and looked down. There was the thimble full of water. Slimey took a deep breath and dived. He landed in the thimble with a splish.
"Terrific dive," said Oscar. "A few more practice sessions and you'll be ready for the big time."
"Oh, good," said Slimey as he toweled off. "And now I have to go tidy up my room. My cousin Squirmy is coming to visit me tonight."
"Tidy up your room?" cried Oscar. "When my cousin Trashy visits me, I always mess up my room."
That evening, Squirmy arrived with her suitcase. The first person she saw on Sesame Street was Oscar.
"Excuse me, sir," she said. "I'm looking for my cousin Slimey. Does he live around here?"
"Yeah," said Oscar. "Slimey lives right there in that shoebox."
"Thanks," said Squirmy. "By the way, is it always so noisy in the city?"
Oscar looked around at Sesame Street. Cars and trucks were rumbling by. The garbage collector was rattling cans. A police van's siren blared as it sped past. A rock band was practicing upstairs.
"What noise?" said Oscar. "I don't hear anything. When you live in the city, you get used to noise."
Just then, Slimey wriggled out of his shoebox.
"Cousin Squirmy, how nice of you to come." "Oh, Cousin Slimey, it's wonderful to be here." "Welcome," said Slimey, "to the Big Apple." "What apple?"
asked Squirmy.
"Oh, that's just a funny name for the big city," said Slimey. "We call our city the Big Apple."
Slimey took Squirmy to his room and helped her unpack. Squirmy loved Slimey's room. She admired his plants on the windowsill, his tie-dyed pillows on the bed, and his "I Love Sesame Street" poster on the wall. The next day, Slimey gave Squirmy a tour of the city. He took her to the Earthworm Museum. There, they saw 20 different kinds of dirt in the soil sample room. They both enjoyed a colorful mobile entitled Worm Turning in Slow Motion. Slimey and Squirmy ate their lunch at a sidewalk cafe. And that afternoon, they climbed to the top of Sesame Street sign and took in the view. In the evening, they had front row seats at the biggest Earthworm musical stage show in town. In fact, it was the only Earthworm musical stage show in town.
"Well, the city is a very nice place," said Squirmy, "even if it is noisy."
The next day it was time for Squirmy to go home.
"Thanks for everything," she told Slimey. "I hope you will come and visit me in the country." "I've never been to the country," said Slimey. "Do you have a lot of museums and shows and sidewalk cafes?" "No," said Squirmy. "We have a lot of quiet."
After Squirmy left, Oscar showed Slimey a sign he had made.
"Isn't this a terrific sign?" said Oscar. "I painted it myself."
See the amazing diving trick to come to the show starring Oscar T. Grouch.
I didn't know that you could dive into a thimble full of water," said Slimey.
I can't," said Oscar. "You're the diver."
"Oh, then why does your sign say starring Oscar T. Grouch?"
asked Slimey.
Because, said Oscar, I made the sign.
Oh, that is unfair, said Slimy. I think I'll go on a long trip. You can do the show without me.
As Slimy packed his suitcase, he wondered where he should go, and suddenly he thought of his cousin Squirmy.
I know, he said. I'll visit Squirmy in the country. It'll be nice and quiet there. No shows, no signs, no grouches.
Slimy went to the bus stop and waited for the bus. When Slimy arrived at his cousin's address, all he saw was a big apple lying on the ground. Where was Squirmy's house? He was very surprised when Squirmy poked her head out of the apple. Excuse me. Oh, Cousin Slimy, how nice of you to come.
Cousin Squirmy, it's wonderful to be here.
Welcome, said Squirmy, to the Big Apple.
Oh, that's what I call my house.
Squirmy lived in a real apple. Inside the Big Apple, there was a nice cozy room. Slimy loved Squirmy's house. He liked the flowers on the table and the patchwork quilt on the bed and the Home Sweet Home sampler on the wall. The next day, Squirmy gave Slimy a tour of the countryside. They hiked through the crisp fall leaves. They went for a brisk dip in the local puddle. They even slept out under the stars. Slimy had never seen so many stars. There was only one problem. Slimy couldn't sleep. It was too quiet.
Oh, if only Oscar were here, thought Slimy. He would make a lot of noise and I could go to sleep.
In the morning, Slimy and Squirmy were talking about this and that when a robin flew up and landed on the branch of an apple tree. What was that robin thinking about taking a nap? Was he planning to sing a song? Oh no! That robin was watching Slimy and Squirmy and he was thinking about only one thing: breakfast.
Oh, this is the life,
Slimy was saying to Squirmy.
No cars, no trucks, no garbage collectors.
And suddenly, he looked up and saw a monstrous bird diving out of the sky, heading straight towards him. Slimy was too scared to move, but Squirmy was not. She grabbed Slimy and pulled him into a hole in the ground, and the robin could not reach them. After the robin flew away, they came out of the hole.
What was that?
Cried Slimy. Oh, that's just Robin Redbreast, said Squirmy.
You've seen him before?
Said Slimy. Oh, yes, answered Squirmy. You should see all the birds that live around here. Robins and thrushes and chickadees. When you live in the country, you get used to birds. Slimy decided that seeing one bird was enough. It was time to go home.
I guess I'm just a city worm,
said Slimy as he started down the road to the bus stop.
I like living in the city.
Well, and I guess I'm just a country worm, said Squirmy. I like living in the country.
Goodbye, Cousin Squirmy. Thanks for everything.
Goodbye, Cousin Slimy. Come back soon. When Slimy arrived home, he was surprised to see a sign hanging on Oscar's can. It said, "Welcome home, Slimy." The sign made Slimy feel good.
Well, how's the wandering worm?
Said Oscar.
Oh, I'm tired of riding buses, said Slimy, but I like your sign.
Hey, if you think that sign's great, wait till you see the new sign for the show,
said Oscar. And he pulled out another sign. It says, "See the amazing diving trick come to the show starring Slimy T. Worm."
Well, said Slimy, I guess I'd better start practicing.
Good night. I love you.